Top Hill Recording Podcast, episode 164. Tonight, our guest, Daniel Cain.
One night on a cold black moon, house all day come for you in those hills of Kentucky for those pigs. Time to go, baby, you ought to know by now. Honey, it's time to go, baby, you ought to know by now. Yeah, you gave him, play those games, give your own song, ease of pain. Well, there's poison in this water, that's why the moon shines in the hollow. Honey, it's time to go, baby, you ought to know by now. Honey, it's time to go, baby, you ought to know by now. Honey, it's time to go, baby, you ought to know by now. It's time to go, baby, you ought to know by now.
Nice.
Yeah, dude. Thank you.
Great tune.
Thank you.
Great plan, man. Great
Thank you
singing
so
too.
much.
It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Appreciate that, y'all.
Yeah,
Thanks for
man.
having me on here.
Now, tell us a little bit about that song.
Yeah, so that song's called Time to Go. It's actually my next single that's coming out.
Oh, sweet.
You guys
awesome.
just made my tour poster I just dropped. It's called the Time to Go Tour. And what I'm doing is this is my second single I've released up to this date. And
Was
what
that on
else?
Copperhead?
Yeah, the first one was called Copperhead.
All right.
And the way I've been doing it is like I've had an artist, Jimbo Valentine, creatively theming the art to the lyrics and what he feels from the song. And then we've been augmenting that into the tour poster, trying to theme and marry the awareness of the single, what the song is, and like who I am as an artist touring.
All right.
But this one specifically is kind of like my take at like a clever way of doing today's murder ballad, really, because it's unforgiving and it's kind of like, dang, like it's a little dark and grim in the lyrics, and it's about succumbing to addiction, which I feel like happens a lot more. I mean, than like the Wild West murder ballad days. And stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we're in the belt for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And so it was just that song is really about that, and it's just a dark tale about the fateful, unfortunate ending to something that's unaddressed. And I grew up all around a lot of stuff like that, just like probably anybody. But I don't know. I felt like it was real close at a real early age, and that I was learning why people weren't around no more from stuff like that. So I kind of felt called upon in a way to, I guess, make that kind of tone. And
Nice,
that's the one
man.
we got.
Yeah.
Killer. Well, before we get too deep, back again, Dusty Bo,
I'm here.
co-hosting, man.
Love it.
Love
Thanks
it.
for having me back.
Well, let's do a little cheers for
Cheers,
the night,
cheers.
you guys. A little
Yeah.
OFO back at it. Cheers, you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Cheers to the corner.
Clap,
I
clap,
don't know where
clap.
you're at. Yo, you got to come on. You got to be part. All right, there we go.
Working, yeah. We're
All right,
good.
through me. Okay, there you go. So, you talk about growing up. But speaking of growing up, kind of take us back to childhood and tell us when you knew that music was going to be something that you were going to be doing
Okay.
and had to have in your life.
Yeah. I had a real interesting, I didn't realize it because it's your life as a kid, but
Yeah.
I had a pretty peculiar raising with music. My dad was a local highwayman.
Okay.
He was a honky tonker, a blues man, and he even played upright bass in the bluegrass groups.
All right.
He ran his own guitar store on Main Street in the small town of Stanford, where I grew up.
Okay.
And it was called Main Street Music. My mom sang in the choir. They just loved music, and that was like, to me, it was just my natural raising. So I just loved music, and I was raised on so many things. I had two older siblings. I have two older siblings. My oldest sister, she's 10 years older than me. She was born in 85. I'm 95. So I got a lot of like the grunge and the new metal, even as like a 7-year-old. I was just like digesting all that. Dad was like giving me Waylon Jennings tapes. Santa Claus was leaving AC/DC's Back in Black under the tree.
All right.
I was just obsessed with Jimi Hendrix. And also I was a child of, growing up into the aughts with the internet. And then I love rap too. And so I just love music, man. And my whole life, I always just loved music.
Huh.
So I got, that is like a real rough context of how it got into my brain. But I started playing guitar probably around the age of like 9, 10. I found I'm a true lefty. So my dad tried to get me started on a right-handed one, like 8 years old. I remember I got a little tiny 3/4 size guitar for Christmas. I just couldn't do it, man. Like Charles Barkley swing, y'all seen that?
Oh, yeah.
That's me with right-hand guitar. Like trying to play anything, it just doesn't work.
So at that point, were you you're in school? So were you writing left-handed and doing everything else left-handed?
Everything, yeah.
Okay.
Everything, just
Okay.
everything.
Yeah. Yes, that makes sense. I mean, I wonder why. But he owns a music store. He's probably like, dude, left-handed guitars are too expensive.
Yeah.
We're just gonna see about this right-handed thing.
That's the funniest thing, man.
Yeah.
So what happened was my dad used to, he would leave like a quarter on the counter. We lived in a real small town, and even before the internet took everyone's life over, times were different in a small town. Even you could be like my age and walk down the street by yourself, and nobody really would have thought twice. So I would get home from school, and like my dad, when he still had the shop, he would leave like a quarter on the kitchen counter, and then I could walk down to the family grocery on the way to his shop, get a little fudge round, be a little fat kid on the way to the music store. And then he would like put me to work a little bit, so I'd just be polishing up guitars, just helping out. And then one day I just saw a guitar that was a Strat copy. It was a Japanese Hondo red Strat copy, but it was left-handed. I didn't really even put it together, but I was like, why does this one look different? And he was like, oh, that's left-handed. I go, oh, okay. I'm left-handed. He goes, oh, that's right. That's more why. Dad was just like not the most attentive on certain things, but he was a music man,
Yeah.
So anyways, he showed me a couple chords that I could tell he had like a spark in him, and he pulled me behind the red cash register, and he, us sitting, if you're holding a guitar in front of me, it's like a mirror image since I'm left-handed. So
That's
he just starts putting the hand there, and I'm just like, got it.
Yeah.
And he just let me take it home because he was like, holy shit.
This is
now we got something going.
Yeah,
Cool.
I got a kid that's gonna take it over.
Yeah, then I was immediately obsessed with Avenged Sevenfold and like the really hard rock and metal scene that was going on. And I was only like 10, 11. And then I think Dad was like, damn it. I think Dad thought I would start picking a Telecaster maybe by 12, trying to play country, but I was more just like, I can't make it on my own.
Big A7X fan, man.
Yes, man. Yeah. Me too. I freaking love them still. But so I didn't end up getting too involved in any music scene. like my dad and mom weren't really encouraging me to play. So I was more of just like, I like to play at home, but like it didn't even like take root in the way you're asking that question. Like when I knew I was wanting to, it was like a dream that I felt like I kind of had to kick in the closet at one point. That makes any
Okay,
sense.
interesting. Well, got to explain that a little bit.
Yeah, essentially, I would just remember I'd be talking about like, I want to do this, and you know, they wouldn't be like no, but it wasn't absolutely supportive like me getting straight A's in school or something.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? They weren't. I think they were more protective, probably.
Wanted you to take more predictable path.
I think, yeah. I mean, I can easily say, and like, I'm not saying this to any shade. My dad passed away just a year ago.
Oh man, sorry to hear that.
And so I'm saying, I'm not saying this to any shade, but I remember one time I was like, yeah, I really want to be an artist as a kid. And they're like, where's the money? You know what I mean? But that's the thing. Like, I still get it. Like, I get it. I don't have any kids, and I can only imagine potentially I'm going to say something like that as well.
Yeah. Well,
But
and it's not
just
like
stuff
they're
like
wrong.
that to an impressionable kid.
Uh-huh.
I'm probably more sensitive than the next fellow half the time, too.
I completely get that.
Yeah.
And so I just heard something like that and went, I'm not allowed.
Yeah.
You know? And it was kind of something like that.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. There's expectations you want to meet, and when you hear something like that from people that you respect and love, obviously, and your parents, it can make you think exactly that. I've got to do what I'm supposed to do.
Yes.
I've got to.
And I did respect and love them because they were great parents. So it did actually. I was actually a very listenable child because they treated me very well. You know what I mean?
And that's why, and that's why it did matter. That's why you did question. It's not no shade either from me on that. But it's definitely understandable.
Yeah,
because
but
about
you know
that.
how that can go. So that's the thing. As I started becoming like a teenager, it's like nobody cares because I'm establishing my independence as a young man. So rebellion starts to hit. I don't go into guitars and music. I actually start making rap with my friends and freestyling and smoking and doing a bunch of stuff, you know what I mean? And I kind of got into the idea of artistry through like creative writing, then like getting it on a beat and stuff like that first.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys have heard the Copperhead, but it's actually kind of got like more of a beat-centric inflection to it. Just because I have a natural also part of me that's not just like crooning over a few chords.
Well, even what you played there it had a lot of rhythmic stuff to it that kind of laid down a beat. It kind of had a backbeat to it.
Yeah, I almost can't help it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it does come naturally if you have that, especially kind of raised how it seems you were with a bunch of music. Because I was like that too. I think a lot of us in this area, for some reason, generally are. There's a love for a ton of different music styles, hip hop, R&B, to hard rock, to and you can go out and see Louisville-based bands in every one of those categories that are really, really, really solid. That do intermesh and talk and communicate with other, which is cool. But
which I think is a thing of our generations.
I do too. I do too. There's a lot
of.
That
was born in '63. You know.
Yeah, there's a lot of who gives a shit in your generation. There's not. It's more judgment free.
Yeah. Probably because thanks to the internet.
Yeah.
That's what my brain constantly goes like. Why is that? And I go, because the internet happened.
Because the
iPhone happened.
Yeah. Yeah, but I do think a lot of more people that grow up that listen to hip hop, and especially maybe even start in that area as far as writing and beats, do have a more rhythmic style of playing. So it does make sense that that led to you having that type of style on with your hold on, with your left hand. It's always my right hand. Your left hand. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So to really like kind of cap off how I got here kind of with your question, like what got me thinking this is what I'm going to do was like, that is all necessary context. It's just wild how life goes. But 2020, I'm living in Nashville and I'm within like 3 months of life, I have this like just insane line of events. Like my grandpa on my mom's side passes not long before 2020. Then February 2020, my grandma passes. Then March 3rd, I'm in the East Nashville tornado.
What?
Then, and I'm trying to make ends meet as a genius tech at Apple down in Franklin, like rich Nashville area. I live out in like East Nash, and I get displaced from that. 10 days later, the stocks crash and the world shuts down from COVID, and I get my hours knocked out. I was having to like take extra shifts and stuff to make ends meet all the time. So it wasn't like they could guarantee me that when I started working from home. And I didn't even have it home at the time.
Yeah, jeez.
And then a month later, my dad gets diagnosed with like a terminal illness. And all those things was just like, at some point, it was like, you don't even feel it. You're just like, I'm in a video game, like I'm in the Matrix. And so I ended up choosing to move back home. So I moved back to or I wasn't from Lexington, but I moved to Lexington, so I still have what I thought I needed for like some resources and whatnot for what I'm trying to do. And when I was in Nashville, I wanted to be making music, but it was just, I just want to go be an artist. It just had no limits, and it still doesn't. This is just what I'm doing right now. But like, what happened specifically with like how I've gotten to get sitting in a chair because some guys heard a song was my dad and me were kind of odds, I'd say, to be very, very honest. Not saying that was his fault, probably mine. Just again, out of being like a rebellious knucklehead. I'm going to do life my way. What are you doing after your school? I'm going to go to Nashville and figure it out. That's like pretty much was my answer. I was like, I can serve, I can bartend, I can do a lot of charming things. I'll figure it out.
That's a plan's a plan, man.
Yeah.
I don't.
It was a headstrong dream plan, and I'm still on it. But the way that steered was when he got sick, I thought, my brain really started to shift to this point of, I'm gonna, bygones are bygones. We have a chance. He's got this diagnosis. That doesn't mean he's gone today. We can get over it, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to show up and be like, whatever, Dad. I can be like, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
So we are starting to pick guitar more and stuff. Again, I'm starting to pick up my guitar, show him. I was playing a lot when I was like kind of having some sad months in 2020 and 2019 as a way to start, I don't know, spending time with myself in a healthier way. And so me and him start playing guitar. He shows me like Wildwood Flower from a finger picking thing. I start falling in love with flat picking. Billy Strings starts to enter my brain at the same time. And I start just, all of a sudden, guitar's back on my mind like I'm 12. And my dad's at home. He's still healthy. That's like literally, I know it sounds crazy, but my 24/7, like whatever else my last years were, whatever. Like I'm just back to that 12-year-old me with a guitar in my hand, being excited to be like, look what I can do, Dad. And then that started to turn into me trying to figure out, he was like, why don't you work up a set? Which was like the first time he'd ever said that, So I start learning, what is it? One of the Charlie Crockett songs, Welcome to Hard Times, which I thought was fitting for my life too. And that turns into somehow I got a performance slot to do that song somewhere. And I started doing an open mic. Then it's another open mic. Then it's an opening for a show. Then it's my own show. And then it just became its own thing. But it really just happened because of me and my dad.
It's interesting, man. You mentioned having a headstrong plan, basically, when after college, and that being the point where there was some friction. But I wonder a lot of times, and I have 3 kids, and they're all of the age where they're making choices in life to where it's going to be complete direction altering, and as a parent, you've got to let them make those decisions. So do you feel like the upbringing and part of wanting to be it seemed like somewhat of a pleaser for your parents, and finally taking, I don't even think it's selfish. I think it's just saying, look, I'm going to give this a shot.
Yeah.
I'm 22 or whatever you are when you're at that age. You've done everything that you probably should. You've done in high school. You've done things correct. And at that point, it is ultimately, you've got to choose a path. And choosing to chase a dream is, I don't think there should have been, I don't think there should be any shame in that. I think following, And I hope you like with my kids, you know, just to relate to myself in that situation. On the other side of that, I will always have opinions of what I would hope that they do, and it's always just going to be, I hope they're happy, and I'm sure that was his ultimate. But you know, there's a fear of at certain ages making a choice that will change things. But it's also wild that the rekindling and you actually getting started was you having to come back home.
Yes.
And
it's like Simba ran back to
really is, man.
man.
But yeah, man, I hope that you don't, I don't know what your feelings or emotions are towards that, because I'm sure it's conflicting sometimes, but I hope you don't feel any.
But it's still cool.
Well, it's just, I hope you understand, like, dude, that you made the right choice for you, and it led you to who you are today, what you do now. And I'm sure it's created a lot more those downs and the times where you did have to get through those relationships and losses and freaking tornado where you're displaced. You know, it does create content for you later on down the line, and it really is therapeutic, I think.
Yeah.
You know, we talk a lot about music being therapy and writing being therapeutic, and being a way to kind of heal some wounds that you can't go back and fix, but lets you mend out that emotion. So I don't know, man. The dad in me wants to say you did what you had to do, and you did the right thing.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think it's funny you say that, like the fear or the hesitation, but how many people hesitate and don't pursue something like that because it seems like a bad decision to everyone else. I met a guy at a cookout the other day, and he was just matter of fact talking about something. He's like, yeah, you know, every once in a while you just make a bad decision, just deal with the consequences. Like, matter of fact. And I was like, whoa, wait. Because most people would probably hesitate and be like, no, that's a bad idea. I would never do that. But he's like, every once in a while, hey, man, I'm not saying it's a bad decision, but if other people perceive that as you can't, you know what I mean?
What you're saying.
But to make that leap and do it, I think it's awesome that you did it and you're still doing it, because I think a lot of people are afraid to do that and would never pursue that. Yeah.
With what you were saying about, like, you know, the craziest thing is, like, this all really did have a flip too, even from his half of things, because, like, before he passed, like, he did say that he thinks I'm one of the best songwriters he's ever heard of. And, like, he's a no bullshitter. So regardless, for what his opinion's worth, that he means that. And I think it was just one of those things where risk turned into respect. Ooh. And I think he started to finally see, like, oh, wait, I think this guy just wanted to be me, and maybe me trying to push him out of that stuff was how my theories turned into, like, maybe that was just the way Dad saw himself. Maybe he thought he had insecurities that maybe where he wasn't bringing in six figures for the fam, that maybe I thought he was a loser or something, which was never the case. But, like, I can see how, as I start to get closer to 30, how I'm still just as insecure and vulnerable inside as I was when I was 15. And that when I'm faced to be a provider and a protector one day with kids, I'm going to have to I have choices. I can be vulnerable, but sometimes I can be as strong as I have to be, and that is silence and stoicism, and maybe just being like, I don't know.
Dude, I tell you
what. If that
what,
makes any sense. Like, I now see it as a loving thing, where I saw it as a resentful, rebellious thing to respond to. I now see it all as like, no, I get it.
Well, but dude, I'm telling you, even at when you are a parent and down the line and a little bit older, there's never a point, for me at least. I mean, I don't know how other people think, but I think a lot like I think you and I probably think alike. There's never a point where I feel so steadfastly sure in a direction, or there's always am I doing things right? Am I making the right decisions? There's always a second guessing. And I've wondered my whole life, like, and I didn't get it until I was older, like, you know, people that are older than us think the same way too, I think. I think some people solidify who they are and do those. But I don't know if you ever don't question, am I making the right decisions? Even if you are living a right and just life, like a good life where you're not hurting people, you're not making decisions that affect other people in any way, but even if it's just you and it's internal, is there ever a point where you are not battling
Absolutely. Especially living righteously or virtuously. Like, I think the hardest part is you're choosing to care, which means you're choosing to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Which what that does to me is actually make me question if I'm doing things the right way even more than, say, when I've been quote unquote rambling. Like, because I've also had periods where I'm just rambling around in life as a way from running from looking at stuff or running from like the vulnerability of myself and just being like, no, look at this carnal thing that I can be. Look how wild this can be. And then when I'm in the spurts of those, I look back, I cared way less because I cared way less about myself. And it's almost, I questioned things less. And it was always a tornado that pulled me out of it, whether it was me being the tornado or literally
real
like God's tornado.
Or a pandemic or whatever it was that had
that
to
all
get you.
shaped my spirituality as well. It really did.
So how so? I don't be making sounds at me, old man.
Yeah, speaking of rambling, man, like,
no, I'm good.
I can talk. So if you guys are like, let's do a song. Let me know. I'm just saying.
How so? Like, did it change your spirituality? What do you mean?
Like, I just had went through a lot of phases. I was raised. My mom was a Catholic schoolgirl. My dad was like from Boone Zedler type folk, Scotch Irish Cains. He was more like church is in your heart. You know, one's pure system, one's just like, that's what I think. And he was actually even more stubborn than her. So it was just all very, you know, conflicting immediately, but still Christian. Then I grew up in Stanford, Kentucky, where it's like really, really Stanford Southern Baptist. You know, like I love where I come from, but straight up, I can remember being in like elementary school and like teachers being like, is there any Catholics in here? And I was born Catholic. So I would raise my hand and be like, oh, it's just Daniel. And then they'd like crack a Pope joke. And then like the whole class is laughing.
Really?
So like real quick, it's like I'm in this box of one faith label and yet none of it agrees in anywhere that's a caretaker or provider. I was like born to question things. I'll put it like that.
Yeah. Sounds like it with your the artist and your dad sounds like the artist and your mom sounds the opposite.
Yeah.
And I understand the battles.
So that all was a huge battle. And then just, I always became this really stubborn person who was like, God, if you're real, you're going to have to show me. Like, I went to pure logic in life in my head to really deal with things and look at stuff. And then, that whole season of life happened. And sure, randomness is a thing. Like, I understand. But, like, I don't know. I just went through that. I'm still going through the wake of grievance through things and, like, through all this change. I look at the former self and I just can't help but think God did that.
Yeah.
So it really shaped me to feel like a firm believer.
Anyway. All right, man. Well, Brent's going to fire me if I don't ask you to play another song.
That's cool, man.
So, all right, what was it? Before you put that down, tell us what you're going to play for us.
Dude.
Something where you got to tune that string back, I think.
Okay. We'll do that one.
No, I don't know.
Let's do, I'll play a blues one. It's called Black Dogs and Alley Cats.
All right.
Ooh, all right.
Dog in the dead of night, just walking all alone with hell stiff and trying to get a bite, just digging for his bone. Well, he's gone hungry for a while now, but it can't take much longer. His mean box turning to a bite now. He's put down in alley cave, silk silhouette on the loose with sharp claws looking for a scratch, fine feline in the mood with she's gone hungry for a while now. Well, she can't take much longer. Her softest turning to a cry now. Black dog heard that alley cat, tail wagging heels on the move. Well, coming home to that alley cat, on a chase lost in the groove. Well, they've gone hungry for a while now. Well, there won't be much longer. They're gone wild, you can hear them cry now.
Yeah, man. Love that song.
Thanks, man.
It's like bluesy Alice in Chains or something. Like,
Yeah, I dig it, man.
dig it,
Yeah,
bro.
it's-
Like, I really
That's awesome.
some of the
That's the
stuff.
best thing someone's ever said about that.
I like it.
There's parts that you were doing, like guitar wise, some of the licks you were playing that were very. When you mentioned like being into new metal and grunge, it wasn't like just standard blues licks. Like you were throwing in some like alternative kind of pick in there, which I dig.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Man.
man.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Very cool song.
Their guitar too sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good pick. Yeah,
Thank
man.
you so much.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's a 74 Guild Big Folk Star Jumbo
74.
And Lefty.
made in
Dude,
Rhode Island.
It's beautiful.
Wow,
Like,
yeah,
it
it
looks
is
brand
beautiful.
new.
Yeah.
74.
I
would
know,
never
that
guessed.
was amazed when I found it. I just found it recently, just November.
So it's a 74, not like a 74 reissue. It's like an actual wow.
Real 74.
Yeah, that thing
Yeah, it
looks like
looks
it's barely
like-
been played. That's awesome.
Looks like it was under
It's
somebody's
they've got
bed.
an arch back on them back then.
Ooh,
Oh,
Which I thought
wow.
was super cool.
that is super.
That is a
nice.
beautiful guitar,
I was just
man.
like,
I wish I could play it.
it's
I
like
can't,
20
'cause
pounds.
it's- Oh wow,
It
it's
is
a beast.
very heavy.
Yeah, I've got
Yeah.
a.
It's acoustic electric, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've got a 1980 Guild in D4NT, and it is the heaviest acoustic I have by a lot.
And you said it 1980.
80.
Yeah. So
1980.
that was still made in Rhode Island, I think.
I mean, dude, it's so heavy.
Yeah.
It's like,
I did a lot of research on them after I got it, and I found out the whole history of Guild. They're really, it's a cool company.
yeah,
They were kind of a rebel to the rebels.
it's yeah. I love the guitar, man. I got it from someone I knew who had passed away, and I ended up with it. And it is a super, super cool instrument. It's definitely not in that shape, but dude, it's a cool instrument.
Is it a dreadnought?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Cool.
That's no jumbo. It's not that big. It doesn't sound that big either.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like that one. You mentioned like AC/DC ish. What were your influences? I know you mentioned some growing up, but as far as like the songwriting goes, it seems like a bit more of a mixture. So like,
Sure.
where do you pull your influences from for songwriting?
For songwriting, man.
Like, where do you think it's just your own deal, or like?
Probably, honestly. And I know that we're all just we're borrowed time and we're all just energy passed on. But at the same time, like, I really have tried my whole life. The funniest thing is, like I told you, that whole background context. And yet the whole time my dad would still let me ask the dreamer questions. Be like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you like write your own stuff? You know, he still was like letting me. And I remember like having a conversation once where it was just kind of like, well, try not to sound like anyone else. So maybe just try not to, as in don't even look at, just don't even try. Like, don't even like go like, I'm gonna write in the style of this.
Yeah.
So I think one thing that helped though was having so many different influences in general with just liking music.
Yeah.
And then I always naturally wrote creative things, blurbs and whatnot. And then, like I said, I started writing freestyling and then writing raps. And then I had poetry class once and really liked that. And then I got into like the writers of like Charles Bukowski and Kurt Vonnegut. So it was almost like author type people that I started to get inspired by with writing. And then when it came to music, it's probably an auditory thing where I'm sure I'm influenced by certain people with it. But it's really hard to say. I don't know.
You got a real unique voice. When did you start singing? Like, when did you kind of find your...
Yeah. First time I ever sang in front of people, I was 20. I went abroad in school, and I was at a campus pub in Reading, England, and I bumped into this German Turkish girl named Barry, and she had Barry and the O's. She was starting a band. So what literally happens, I bump in, I go, "Oh, I'm sorry." He goes, "Are you American?" And all this. And then I'm like, yeah. "Do you want to sing in my rock band?" That's the absolute next question. Not, "Who are you?" What?
Right.
Not, "Do you like music?" Literally, that was it. I go, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, you have an American voice. It'll sell. It'll work." Says that literally. And I just go, she doesn't know. It was one of those things where I was like, maybe God is real. It's another like one of those back then. And I go, "Yeah, let's do it." Turns out she was true lefty. She brings to the first practice a nylon string left-handed guitar, and I freak out. Yeah.
No kidding.
And then that first time was we were learning the Kinks and like the Doors and like Beatles covers with like these British kids.
Jim Morrison
awesome.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to revisit it because, yes, the Lizard Band was the first thing to ever enter me as the idea of thinking, wait, pause.
Back up. We know what you're saying.
Jim Morrison's the Lizard King and his spirit.
Yeah.
I was influenced by things like that for the first performance ever. But let me say, that first performance, we're at this place called Global Cafe. And I just remember being like, is this actually happening? I think I was drunk every single day of being abroad. Like, not kidding. There's this thing called Frosty Jack's hard cider. And you could get for like £3, 3 liters in one bottle.
Damn.
And me and my friends had this game of finish the bottle and you're done.
You're frosted, Jack.
But yeah, like when I say like I can't remember too much, it's kind of true. And I'm sorry that if my mom ends up listening to this, but she knew I was sowing my oats. But yeah. I just remember being like so nervous and like I don't think the performance went that well. I did it, but I just remember being not like wanting to forget it immediately.
The most important thing is that you did it.
Definitely. That was the first time I took the stage. And then the next one is I went back to America and had the bug now for the idea of performing. I thought it was cool. And I joined this Central Kentucky folk ensemble at my school that I was at.
Called No Folking Way.
Yeah.
That's a great name.
I told you I got kids, man. I'm a dad. I got all
Folk. Funny.
Prince
Jimi
Philly,
Hendrix
king
was
of
one of
dad
my first
jokes.
absolute heroes. I don't know. That's just
Was it the
in
lefty?
general. I loved that he was a lefty.
That had to be a part of it.
And he was just cool.
Is
My dad
Townsend
had a
a lefty?
poster of him with at Monterey burning the guitar.
yeah.
And that was in his guitar shop. So every day I'd walk out and go, you know what I mean? Kind of that like real kiddish look.
I think you were either at that stage in life, not us, like our parents, they were either the Jimi Hendrix poster or the Farrah Fawcett poster or no poster. My dad was a no poster. I would have definitely been a Jimi Hendrix poster. You'd have been a Jimi Hendrix poster.
I think my dad actually did have the Farrah Fawcett poster.
Told you.
Now that you say that.
Told you, man.
That's hilarious.
Not growing up, but he told me about it before I was born.
How do you... Yeah.
I've heard of the Farrah Fawcett poster.
Yeah, one on the beach or something.
I don't know, man. I just
Taught a
know
lot
that
of
there was a
kids about
poster.
Taught a lot of kids about their anatomy.
All my posters involved rock bands for sure. Some type of music, 100%. Or a chord chart or something like that.
I had like UK basketball players. Yeah, I know I'm in Louisville, so I don't know if I'm
It's all right,
on
man.
toes.
I'm
But
a U of L fan, but it's okay. We're nice.
Yeah, no, my whole family's from Louisville. We actually are a divided family. It's kind of fun.
Ooh.
Except when it's not, but it is.
Yeah.
Except when you're being awful to each other, just tearing each other apart because of a rivalry.
No,
Because of people know that we don't even know.
Yeah, dude.
Oh my God.
It's awful to be a Louisville, a U of L fan lately, but it's okay. We're
Y'all
on the
had a hard hand for
on the
like
comeback, baby.
Yeah, definitely.
Has to be. Optimism at its finest. All right, so Brad, I always mention Brad. This is Brad's questions of the week.
Brad's who I'm filling in for.
Yeah, so you get to read the questions. All right,
Should I try to sound a little bit like him too? No, I'm kidding. All right. What's something non-musical people should know about you?
What's something non-musical that people should know about me? I don't know, man. Y'all have heard me just talk in a million directions. I'm like,
you do commercial voiceovers for fabric softener.
Hey,
You forgot to add your fabric softener. You could, dude.
What people should know. So now I'm trying to think what people
like something cool.
don't know off my social media even.
There you go.
I'm trying to think.
All right.
Because, we put our hobbies on there too a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what people should know is I come from Stanford, Kentucky. And I'm devoted to being a good family man. And I believe in treating each other right.
There you go.
There you go. Awesome.
I don't, I guess we'll qualify that.
Yeah, something about my mind.
Tell us something cool about you, man. No, I'm just kidding.
I got one tattoo.
All right, it's not visible.
It's not. It's on my calf. It's a mandala this is a good one because I'll plug my homie Trace Goodwin Tattoos.
All right.
And he also has designed some of that cool custom art posters that I've done. But he did that day before I moved to Nashville.
Nice.
A few years back. It's a black and gray mandala.
Very, very cool.
Many people probably know that.
All right, now we got something.
All right. Number 2, tell us about a nightmare gig or embarrassing thing that happened to you on stage.
Nightmare gig. Oh, yeah, I got a good one on that. So I played this thing, and it was like my first hometown show since I've been doing this thing. And really thankful for all the support I've been getting from my hometown. But because of that, there's a lot of people there. And Sarah remembers this. I'm about 20 minutes from my performance of this thing called Road Worn Revival. And I bust out of the bathroom and I just say, babe, my pants are ripped right up my whole crack. And I'm not wearing anything. I'm going free balling. I'm commando, no boxers. So that was hilarious and embarrassing. And
go get the duct tape. We will fix this.
Yeah. So luckily I didn't live too far because I'd recently moved back closer to home. So I was able to speed home and really hustle it back right before the set. But it was embarrassing because it was I still had to walk through a lot of people. A lot of people. Oh yeah, it was right the 20 minutes before the performance.
How did
hanging
that
out,
happen?
schmoozing. I honestly have no idea.
How long had it been like
I
this?
stretch a lot when I get anxious and I'm nervy before performances sometimes. So I'll just be hanging around, stretching. And
why is Daniel doing calisthenics in the corner?
That's a question a lot of people probably ask. Sarah probably just goes, it just happens. It just,
Wow.
It's kind of
That's
the other
hilarious.
way after some point.
Hey, man, at least you didn't do it while performing, I guess.
Yeah.
It's still rough.
It was still right in front of a lot of people. I still had to walk out with a bare ass to my truck, pretty much.
Did anybody start whistling or anything? Or
word spread pretty fast between the friends. And most people were friends. So.
Words and cheeks spread everywhere.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Better than the first answer I had.
That's good.
All right. Third and final question. Who is the last local artist you listened to?
The last local artist, Nolan Taylor.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Lexington. I sent him a message today.
Oh, Nolan, man. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he seemed like it. I'm trying to get him on here, but he's a little bit popular right now.
Oh, man. His calendar is filling up.
Yeah, I think he's going on tour with Charlie Puckett.
Crockett?
He's going to be playing with Charlie,
Oh.
L. King, 49 Winchester, Charles Wesley Godwin.
Is he playing with them? Charlie Crockett's playing Manchester, or no?
The Burl.
Tomorrow, he's playing Harristown
here?
Harristown Hall Move. Yeah.
Well, he may. I don't know if he is or not.
I know he's
As far
playing.
as opening for him.
He's doing the Railbird pre-party at the Borough
Cool.
with him. Is what he's doing.
You said
Railbird
you got some
Festival.
tour dates coming up. Where you going to be playing?
I'm gonna be doing. Let's see, just in this month coming up. I'm playing 420 Pharmacy Fest, Kentucky CBD Pharmacy.
Fun.
Playing a little private festival called Get Down on Versailles in Lexington the day after. Headlining that with the full band.
Cool.
And then in May, I'm going to be playing the Burl with Rob Linus. I don't know if you guys know who that is. So you should check him out. He's really good. He's a road dogging highwayman, honky tonk, and he's a young buck.
Cool.
He's got some good music. That was a cool talk about just like sometimes like being able to take a no and like I saw that guy post his summer tour and I've been following his music for about a year now and I was like, it was like a road dog tour. It's like, the whole summer just booked all over the country. I'm like, he's doing it. And I saw he was playing Lexington the Burl and I saw he didn't have a support act. So I just straight up just hit him up in the DMs. I'm like, what up, man? Here's my song Copperhead. If you like it, you should let me open for you at the Burl. He was like, good song. You're hired.
Love that.
Awesome.
That's
It was
awesome.
cool.
That's
So,
great, man.
I'm doing that, and then I'm playing in Chillicothe, Ohio, at Steiner Speakeasy later in the month, and then playing Duke's Indie in Indianapolis the day after
nice.
that.
Cool.
So
Right on. You want to play us another song?
let's do it.
All right. What you got for us?
Man, I like feeling them out as I go. This will be. I'll play all the more slowed down ones. Called "There's a Lot More."
All right.
There's a lot more to home. Songs about cold. There's a lot more ways for you to lose your soul. There's a lot more to home than a bag full of pills. There's a lot more to life than a mess of cheap thrills. There's a lot more to say than saying more than. There's a lot more to do than you don't give a damn. There's a lot more to me than what you see in this life. There's a lot more to me than I'm doing alright. The bluegrass, the bourbon, the horses, the wine. Wildcats and churches, cardinals and crime. The hard-working families can't turn a dime. Yeah, but somehow we'll make it to Saturday night, where I sing to my home all these songs about gold. And all of the ways that I'm losing my soul. Well, I'll sing to you folks about a bag full of pills. Well, I'll sing about life and its messy thrills. 'Cause there ain't much more to say than saying more than. Hell, ain't much more to do, so here I am. Well, ain't much more to me than than what you see in this life. Ain't much more to me, but I'm doing alright. Ain't much more to me than what you see in this life. Yeah, and look where we made it. I think we're doing alright.
Cool too. Awesome.
Appreciate that, man.
Whew, at low register, man. You're
that's
your
awesome.
lower end on the vocals are awesome.
I love it. Yeah.
You got a true old school like country low end, bro.
Baritone.
Yeah, it's
voice.
badass.
Mhm.
Love it.
Dig it.
So you play guitar. Well, you play guitar. Do all three
Yeah,
of
we
y'all
all
play
do,
guitar?
yeah.
So have y'all ever played a baritone guitar?
Mhm.
No.
I have not.
Have y'all ever heard of Eastwood guitars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got a baritone resonator electric with a
Mm.
P90 and piezo.
No
pickups.
kidding.
And it's like this, this dinosaur, like this, I don't know, thing.
So
Yeah,
it's just
by
tuned.
Eastwood,
It's just
and it's
tuned
baritone.
like a whole register lower than a normal.
Yeah, it's got
guitar?
like longer, thicker strings, and it's in B standard if you want to have it in a standard tuning. But I just got that. It was the first time I've ever played a baritone. She's been hearing me play a bunch of like surf rock riffs.
I bet it sounds cool as hell.
Yeah.
It sounds cool, and it's swampy and sleazy. It's awesome.
Yeah, they're dope.
I've seen an 8-string recently, baritone acoustic online.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff I started seeing, they said 8 strings are a lot of the baritones. Apparently.
Yeah, it's a.
Like fatter strings.
I don't know. I'm assuming that is
For an electric,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's kind of like it's like 13 gauge strings on it,
Oh,
which is
wow.
like that's what I got on these.
That's Stevie Ray Vaughan's normal strings.
Yeah, the train wreck bends.
Well, man. So I guess for all our listeners, kind of let us know where they can find you online and I think you mentioned where you're going to be, but anything you can think of to kind of steer them in the right direction.
Yeah. My social media is king right now. I'm working on getting a website down. But Daniel Todd Cain on Instagram, DanielToddCain, and Daniel Cain on Facebook is where I keep everything updated. It's where all the news and announcements pretty much are.
All your shows and everything
All
on
my
there.
shows. And then on all streaming platforms, I have my first single out from my first album that I'm working on. It's called Copperhead. And then May 12th, Time to Go, which I played first. That's coming out.
Right around the corner.
Yeah.
It's like having a baby.
It is, man. It's
Wow.
literally like birthing things. I feel like I've been pregnant with it for a couple years. No disrespect to the pregnants. though.
No,
I know
no.
that
It
y'all
doesn't-
be
it
really,
doesn't
y'all the
feel
real
the
ones.
same. It doesn't feel the same, but it is a little artist baby.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. I've
For
told
sure.
Sarah before many times, I'm like, I'm pregnant with music right now.
It's time to birth those things.
Yeah.
So how many you've got, you're mentioning working on a record. You've got Copperhead that's out and then Time to Go coming out. What all do you have done? Do you have enough
Yeah.
to release now? What's going on with
No,
that
I'm
process?
about halfway done with it, with the album.
Are you
I'm
going to
working
do
on,
full
10
length
songs.
album?
Yeah, it's like 9-10 songs.
Okay.
And I've got 4 songs largely done.
Nice.
We are gonna end up doing pretty much like a second half, mainly for budgeting and literally just making this thing like affordable.
Yeah.
I'm working with an awesome producer. His name's Dwayne Lundy.
Okay.
And
I've heard of Dwayne Lundy.
he's great, man. He's great, especially if you're first time working with a producer and you want to do real quality and somebody who, can read you. I've watched him with other artists and he's different because that's who they need.
Uh-huh.
And he's good.
Okay. Right on, man. We'll be looking forward to that. So May right around the corner, new song, a record to follow.
Right.
All right. So we place another one on the way out.
Is there a thing?
What are you going to play?
Good question. Great time.
You don't even have to answer it. Just feel it out.
Let's do it. Perfect.
I've been known to take some risks, go all in and sometimes miss. End up right back where I started from. That's alright, it don't bother me. Lonely nights, some good company. We got my dog and Jim Beam. We'll get loose, walk the line, sing old songs before our time. Dream, living right, being free. I think back just a year or two, laugh at the things I thought I knew. Time could only show what I couldn't see. Guess I'm going back to being me. Who I am ain't who I used to be. Well, I used to be the king of Friday night, keep it going till the morning light. You knew me, you knew a real good time. Well, we were hell-bound and whiskey bent, raising Cain with my best friends, thinking life was a party that never ends. Times change when you're living fast, you learn the brakes only when you crash. Gotta lose it just to love what you had. Well, hard times really hit the fan. I took a hard look at who I am. Son, you gotta play your cards, be a man. Guess I'm going back to being me. Who I am ain't who I used to be. Guess I'm going back to being me. Who I am ain't who I used to be.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks for coming in, man. Really appreciate it. Awesome.